A seduction is like a story. The number one quality for a seducer, male or female, is authenticity. You've created this space, because think of it spatially. You're after her, it's like this, you're after her, and then you pull back. Now there's a space between you two. That space is where she's gonna fall. It's a trap for a man in seducing to always try and be so nice. When I'm telling men how to seduce, I say that you have to. A seduction is like a story that you're telling. What interests us about a story is, I don't know what's going to happen next. Therefore, I've got to turn the page. I'm watching this movie. I don't know what's going to happen to this character. All right, I'm going to keep watching it, right? So a seduction operates on that same dynamic. The person doesn't know where you're going to take them on the next date. They don't know maybe how you're going to appear, what you're going to wear, but the surprises are positive, they're interesting, they're exciting. There's gifts involved, there's places you're taking them to, but it's not predictable, it's unfamiliar, it's theater. Because, let's face it, for most of us, our day-to-day lives are rather banal and rather boring. I can say that my life is very boring. I just sit in my office writing all day, right? But for us also in this world, for men in the 18th century, they were going on ships, they were crossing the ocean, they were killing people with swords, they were battling, they're going off to war. It was adventure, it was excitement. Now they're sitting in cubicles and they're typing all day. It's leading these boring, banal lives. Everything is familiar, everything is predictable. A seduction is you're taking somebody out of that world and you're taking them into something different, heightened, more dramatic, more interesting, more theatrical. Okay? So that means you're creating surprises. And so when I'm telling men how to seduce, I say that you have to kind of create these little moments where the woman is caught off guard. She doesn't know where you're taking them, what the next step is. There could be sometimes slightly negative things where it might be, that wasn't good. And then you immediately catch it up with something good, kind of a roller coaster ride. Very calculated. So, it's the classic coquette strategy where you're kind of going hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold. Maybe the hot is 70% and the cold is 30%. But when you're cold, they're like, oh my God, what's wrong? Did I do something wrong? Because the first thing that you do is, what did I do that was wrong that made them kind of withdraw from me? Then the next moment they're smiling, they're taking you somewhere else. Oh, relief. Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, it's okay now. That's how you get involved on that kind of emotional roller coaster, and they kind of hook you that way. Because the whole game, besides getting the other person to think about you when you're not there, is to get them emotional about you. Even if they dislike you, that's okay, because that can be overcome. What you cannot overcome is indifference. So getting them to be upset, which is the whole thing about that wound, getting them to be suspicious, angry, that gives you room to turn around to seduce them, because they're emotional, they're getting emotional in your presence. That emotion in your presence can now be turned into something else. You wonder, is it conscious or unconscious? It's both. We don't realize that things can be both. So that people may not be totally aware that they're doing that, but there's a part of them in the back of their minds that know that they are kind of creating this hot and cold game. They're creating a push and pull. So it's never completely natural or unconscious. There's an element where they kind of know that this is a very effective thing to use on the other person. A woman's going to be suspicious of a man because she will think that he's more powerful, he's more male, he's more masculine, he's more aggressive than I am, right? So she's a little bit afraid. Women can be a little bit afraid of men, and rightfully so. So a very nefarious tactic on the male side is to kind of make it feel like the woman is the one in power. The woman is the one who's in control, right? I'm under her clause. She's the one that's operating this. I'm actually kind of weak. I'm actually kind of vulnerable. Well, that makes it, that takes all the trust element and goes, whoa, yeah, I feel fine in this person. To feel like you're the one controlling the man, that he's like weak and he's the more emotional one, that he needs you more than you need him, is going to make all your suspicions, disappear. But it has to happen at the right moment. If you did that at number 1 or 2, it's like, oh, this guy's kind of weak. He's too nice. I'm not interested in him. Yeah. But if he's been kind of leading you along and he seems like he's sort of in control and he's taking you through this theater, and he seems like you have maybe a little bit of fear about him, the whole thing is to reduce that fear. And at that moment, halfway through the seduction as we are, to show that you are the one who's weak and vulnerable will have a very powerful emotional effect on the other person. It's a trap for a man in seducing to always try and be so nice, because sometimes a woman doesn't want somebody who's so nice, because that kind of signals weakness. And so, our sexes are different. Biology does play a role in things. And women may be afraid of, but they're also intrigued by the male, by the masculine element in a man. And if your first signal is poetry and flowers, I'm so sensitive, I do yoga, blah, 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 the nice thing is kind of a trap. Although for some women, it could work if they've been in totally abusive relationships, right? And you sense that. I'm talking about a very cold seducer here. And you sense that, well, being very kind and nice in the first few weeks will really have them eating out of your hand, right? Okay, so not everything is so cut and dry in the seduction world. You have to kind of tailor your strategies and tactics for the woman and her vulnerabilities. So the number one quality for a seducer, male or female, is authenticity. So, if you are genuinely nice, then that can work. But if you are being nice because, you're insecure, then that won't work. People have their own kind of context, their family, their friends, their workplace. And sometimes if you can isolate them from that context, they become much more vulnerable to you, right? They don't have any friends, they don't have any support anymore, so they only can rely on you. And it's something that is done over time, right? So if you're confronting with a male seducer who is trying to turn you off from your friends, who is making it so that your best friend, oh, I don't think you should trust her, I think she's up to something, right? He's trying to do things like that. He's trying to alienate you from your family. I think your parents were really awful to you, etc., is a very classic technique, because in your sense of isolation, you're much more vulnerable to getting support from this particular person. And so one of the tactics that I talk about in the book is taking the person to another country or to another place where they, even on a holiday or a vacation, where they feel unsupported, where they feel a little bit alone and isolated for several weeks, kind of break down that element and make them want to turn to you for trust and support. So if you feel that a man is trying to isolate you in the subtlest ways from your friends, from your family, from the place where you live, and is criticizing that and trying to make you feel like, maybe I don't like these things, maybe that friend isn't really somebody I can trust, this is somebody you should be very, very suspicious of. It's a terrible tactic. It's trying to isolate you socially from the things that support you, and you should be very, very suspicious, and you should not give in to that. And also, as you kind of alluded to, they kind of isolate you mentally, where they make you question your own values and your own ideas. So their values and ideas now are the only ones you can rely upon. So one of the isolations is from the things that you in your brain kind of use to support you, that you rely upon, the values that you hold dear. If they can chip away at that, then you're even more isolated and you're even more vulnerable. Seduction involves by nature an element of transgressive and taboo. So the word itself has this kind of edge to it where we're sort of attracted to it, but we're also a little bit afraid of it. It's like something, it could be very exciting, but there's also something a little bit evil about it, a little bit naughty. And if it didn't have those two elements, it wouldn't be this very powerful word that attracts us so much. So people who are pretend that they want everything to be so comfortable and easy and perfect in their life. They want everything to be good, everything to be sweet and angelic. But people are complicated. They desire the opposite of what they say they think they want, right? So underneath every one of our desires is secretly something else, secretly something maybe the opposite that we want, but we're not aware of it. And so if everything in the seduction were so smooth and wonderful and pleasant, he's giving you chocolates and roses, and wonderful, it doesn't have that edge to it. We want an edge to things in life, otherwise we're not interested in it. It gives it something, a little bit, a whiff of danger. It's something we haven't talked about. But seduction has to have an element of danger to it. It has to be like being involved with this person. It's not like my life is at stake, but something potentially bad could happen, or there's an adventure involved that I'm not used to, where I could lose something that I value. And that element of danger is actually a spice in our life. So my view of people today is that we're too tight. We're too like this. We're too political. We're too like holding on to things we want. We're like, I call it the new prudery in the art of seduction. This is the new prudery, is our political correctness. Everything has to be this way. I'm so moral and righteous. This is what's right and that's what's wrong. And secretly, underneath it all, we actually yearn for the opposite, because it's not natural for us to be so tight and wound up. The human being wants to loosen up. We want to laugh. We want to do the opposite of what's going on in society. We want things that are unconventional. We want things that are mysterious. We want things that are weird and strange. We don't want our lives to be so tight and controlled like everything is on the media, where you say one wrong thing and 8 million people are after you, right? So an element of political incorrectness, of taboo, of something, I'm not supposed to be interested in that person, but I am. How exciting. I think is a very, very important part of a seduction, because people are wound up way too tight these days, and they need a release, and they need that release is something that they would never normally do. Well, now we're entering the last stages of the seduction, where you've been messing with the person psychologically. They've kind of had a back and forth dynamic with you where they're very excited, they're intrigued, but then they're pulling back because they're things you've done that they're not sure about. And it's like a piece of metal that's getting weaker and weaker and weaker by all the bending back and forth, and they're on the verge of breaking. And so injecting a little bit of pain at the end of this, towards this moment in the seduction, like, I'm going to leave you. It's over. I'm done with you. Man, that'll be very, very powerful, because there's been so much pleasure, so much excitement, so much interest involved, that at that moment that you're going to pull back, or that you do something kind of heartless, is going to have a devastating effect on the other person. So I'm being the evil seducer now here, but giving that back and forth dynamic where you're leading them along, where it's very fun, it's pleasurable, exciting, but there are moments of doubt and pain, really is what hooks the other person and gets them completely in your grasp. So if everything is pleasurable, it's not going to have the emotional impact. And if you put in, particularly near the end, these little doses of pain. If you're pursuing someone so much, right, it's almost like it's getting too predictable here. And the sense of being constantly chased and the sense of pursued is tiring. It's also a little bit frightening. And it's also like, where's this all ending, right? It's going too much like you're in control of everything. If you take a step back, you're the one pursuing her, and now you step back and you don't call her as much, and you're doing your work and you're not so interested in her, suddenly she's going to have to pursue you because you've got your hooks in her so deeply. And the moment you've created this space, because think of it spatially, you're after her, it's like this, you're after her, and then you pull back. Now there's a space between you two. That space is where she's going to fall. And that's what I mean by it. So you've pulled back, and now she's going to pursue you because she doesn't want to lose it. It's been so interesting and so pleasurable. And she's so used to this dynamic that she's now going to turn around. The moment she pursues you in any way, it's over. You've seduced her. That's it.